As the sun rose, 50 Comanche warriors topped the ridge, their war paint flashing in the golden light. Malachi Brooks stood alone on the open ground below, observing as the horses formed up in a precise line. 12 hours before, he hadn't realized that rescuing one dying child would unleash the fury of an entire war band on his doorstep. Last night, when he was checking stock by the creek, Malachi had heard a faint noise, only slightly louder than the sound of the current, a low human moan. He tracked it and discovered a 16-year-old Comanche girl alone behind a clump of mesquite. Blood seeped out under her, a wound in her shoulder from a gunshot, fever already developing. She was hot with fever and weakening rapidly. He faltered. Assisting a Comanche girl, particularly one who had been shot and was bleeding, was the sort of action that got a white man killed in this country. But he knelt down beside her and inspected the wound anyhow. The bullet had gone through cleanly, but infection was spreading. He scooped her up off the ground and took her back to his cabin. Her eyes flew open for a moment, dark, wide, and filled with pain. But she was unable to speak. He put her down on his bed and got to work. With equipment left over from another life, he cleansed the wound, sewed the flesh together, and cooled her skin through the long night. She came in and out of consciousness, speaking in Comanche. By morning, her fever had broken. Malachi went out to saddle the horses and saw them. A procession of Comanche warriors lay along the horizon. They had not moved, but they were not going away. In their midst sat a single rider, taller and older than the others, their leader. Inside the cabin, the girl's eyes flew open. She attempted to roll over but fell back with a groan of pain. Malachi raised his hands, spoke softly, assured her she was safe. She didn't believe him. Her eyes snapped sharp and afraid on the door. She answered in broken English, a single word rising clear, "Father." Then more in Comanche, swift and urgent. The language was strange to his ear, but the tone was unmistakable. There was peril, and it was near. He shifted to the window and peered out once more. The warriors had moved in somewhat, some changing their positions, rifles still in view. The older rider did not move. The girl pointed at him. "Father," she said, and then made another sound that paralyzed Malachi. She grabbed her shoulder, simulated a gun, then pointed at the man outside. The message was unmistakable. He did it. The chief had shot his own daughter. She grappled to speak English. "I saw. He kill white family, woman, children. He say tell no one. But she touched the locket around her neck. I not stay quiet." Outside, the chief shouted. The girl interpreted. "He says 1 hour. Bring me out, or they burn everything." Malachi gazed out the window once more. The riders hadn't budged, but the danger was there. The girl went on, quivering. "Not rescue, not my father. He come to finish." Things were changing quickly now. Malachi wasn't only hiding a battered stranger. He was hiding the sole witness to a massacre. And the man who'd been behind it all was standing outside, the man who was armed, strong, and eager to do it again. Her name was Ayanna. She said she had attempted to flee to Fort Davidson to report to soldiers what she had witnessed. Takakota had shot her in order to silence her. The others with him had believed his account, that she had been kidnapped, that Malachi had done something to her. She attempted to sit up. He assisted her, being gentle with her wound. More words arrived, more rapidly, more frantically. The girl confirmed there were additional victims, additional families, multiple atrocities, all concealed. Takakota had invoked the blood of the innocent to support war. The voice on the other side again thundered loudly. Ayanna listened and interpreted. "He tells them that you shot me, that you took me in order to hurt me." She glanced at Malachi. "They believe him." He retreated from the window, his chest constricted. The girl's next sentence was a breath. "He knows I tell you. He knows you heard. Horses' hooves circled the cabin. Warriors took up places. Some fanned out by the well. Others guarded the barn. They were blocking every avenue of escape. Ayana stood up, holding the bedpost. I go out. Tell them truth. They'll kill you, Malachi said. Then they'll kill me. Ayana persisted. He wagged his head. Takakota can't let either of us live. We're witnesses. He needs us dead. Outside, someone shouted again. This voice younger, in fractured English. White man. Chief Takakota want to talk. Bring girl. We no hurt you. Ayana identified the voice. Koshi. He is good. He not know. Malachi narrowed his eyes. How many know what Takakota's done? Just him. Maybe a couple of them. The others. They believe he protect. That was the only hope. If the others could be presented with the truth, perhaps the fiction would collapse. If 50 warriors knew the chief was lying, then everything would be different. But first, Malachi needed to figure out how to address 50 men with guns trained on him. He took down his rifle from its rack and cocked the chamber. 6 bullets. It wouldn't do. Something stupid, he said under his breath. He moved towards the door, palm on the latch. No, she said, grabbing his arm. They kill you. Malachi stared at her, this courageous injured girl who had risked everything to bring the truth out. He was not going to fail her. When I go out there, I'll tell them all of it. About what Takakota did, about what you saw. And if they not believe, then we make our stand here. He turned back, but Ayana held him. There's something else, she said. I not tell you. Her tone lowered. The families, one of them had children, little ones. Takakota said warriors, soldiers killed them. But I watched him. I watched him do it. Malachi stiffened. How many children? 3. 2 boys, 1 girl. She was maybe 6. She cried for her mama. Her voice broke. Malachi didn't need more. Outside, the chief's voice bellowed once again, louder, harsher. Time was running out. He keeps the scalps, Ayana went on, in his lodge, displays them to the warriors, says evidence of white soldiers. But I know. Malachi backed away from the window, teeth clenched. The men around them were not evil. They were being used, their hurt made into a weapon by a man hiding his own wrongdoing. If only I could show it to them. They never take white man's word over their chief, Ayana interrupted. Malachi spun around. What if it comes from you? I am weak, wounded, only a girl. They not listen. They may, if you have evidence. He regarded the pendant on her neck. That carving, it was one of the children's, wasn't it? Her face paled. How you know? Because you wouldn't remain silent, because Takakota forced you to steal something, to blame you. Horses moved in closer outside. Takakota's voice rang out once more, now his deceit making the warriors agitated. He says you hurt me, Ayana interpreted, tears streaming. Says I'm likely dead already. Then came the war cry. 50 voices bellowed across the plains, a noise full of fury and the guarantee of blood. Can you ride? Malachi asked hastily. Ayana tried her shoulder. Little bit. Good. We're not going out there to talk. He moved quickly, taking ammunition and a second rifle. We ride to Fort Davidson, 20 miles east. He gave her the smaller rifle, readied its load. If we make it, you tell the captain your story. He'll investigate. He knew the Henderson family. Man, woman, 3 kids. They came through here. I sold them supplies. He'll remember them. Ayana looked down at the pendant. The carving was clearly not Comanche. Too delicate, too refined, something a settler child would have treasured. A loud crack shook the door, wood splitting. Go, Malachi said, shoving aside a hidden wall panel. I'll be right behind you. Ayana crept into the small tunnel, her wound crying out with each inch. Malachi tossed supplies into a sack behind her. Then there was the noise of the door bursting in, boots pounding, Comanche screams yelling behind her. Just as he was about to enter the tunnel, Malachi knocked part of it down behind him, hindering the chase. Ayana crept through the shadows, clumps of dirt falling. Her shoulder was bleeding freely now, leaving a path behind. And then she could hear something that froze her blood. Takakota's voice, too close. "Malachi," she breathed. They discovered the tunnel. But when she turned to glance back, he was nowhere to be seen, gobbled up by the darkness. She stepped out of the tunnel, panting. Her shoulder ached, but the concealed corral was just as Malachi described, two saddled horses standing in a rocky clearing. She looked back at the tunnel, waiting. Nothing. Gunfire. Shouts. Her heart constricted. He was dead, or stalling for time. Ayana stood stock still. She could ride now, get to the fort, reveal the truth. But she couldn't leave him. Not after all this. Footsteps reverberated down the tunnel. She lifted the rifle, shaking hands. A figure crawled out, bloodied, panting. "Thought I told you to ride," Malachi winced. "Thought you were dead," she answered, lowering the gun. "Close enough." He showed her a graze across his ribs. "I held them up, but we've got 10 minutes, maybe less." He set her onto a horse, then mounted the other. "Can you ride 20 miles?" Ayana nodded, though her vision swirled from blood loss. They rode into the ravine, low. War cries sounded behind them. Hoofbeats thundered over the ridgeline. "They're coming," Ayana shouted. "I see," Malachi yelled back, gesturing forward. "Ravine widens out to the plains." The wide-open plains went on for 15 miles with no shelter, no cover, only sheer distance. The moment Malachi and Ayana emerged from the canyon, the horses broke into full run, their hooves thudding against the parched ground. Coming after them, Comanche warriors spewed out of the canyon, fanning across the wide pursuit to cut off any possible escape. "Faster," Malachi shouted, but Ayana's horse was already straining at its limits. The sound of hoofbeats behind them grew louder. Then, on the horizon ahead, a dust cloud began to rise. Something was coming toward them. Ayana feared it was more Comanche, but Malachi's voice broke through the wind with something close to relief. "Blue uniforms," he called. "It's a cavalry patrol." A line of 12 troopers rode in formation over the prairie, commanded by a haggard captain with years of frontier on his face. The moment they saw the two horsemen escaping a Comanche war party, they changed into a line of defense and raised their rifles. "Fire at your own risk," Malachi shouted. "We want cover, not a skirmish." Captain Morrison lifted his hand, ordering his men to stand down. "State your business, civilian." "This girl knows something about the Henderson family killings," Malachi shouted, holding Ayana steady in the saddle. "She's a witness to war crimes." Behind them, the Comanche horsemen reined in to about 200 yards, reluctant to push ahead and risk a direct battle with a cavalry force. At their center, Takakota rode rigidly in the saddle, his face contorted in rage. When the Hendersons were mentioned, Morrison's expression changed. "Sergeant, defensive positions, and call for the medic. This girl is bleeding." He rode forward, eyes snapping with recognition. "The Hendersons were good friends of mine. What do you know about their deaths?" Ayana spoke weakly but clearly. "Chief Takakota. He murdered them. And others. I witnessed it. That's a serious charge." "She has evidence," Malachi said, pointing to the pendant on her chest. Morrison looked at it. His jaw clenched. "This was Emily Henderson's. She gave it to me when they came through here. Her grandmother carved it." He turned again to Ayana. "You're saying Takakota killed that whole family?" "Yes, and he stores scalps in his lodge. He claims soldiers did it, but it was him. He uses that deception to maintain the loyalty of his warriors." One of the Comanche riders started to come forward slowly. Koshi, the young man who had spoken previously. He had his hands up, indicating peace. "Captain," he said cautiously, "my chief says the white man kidnapped our medicine woman's daughter. Says he hurt her." Morrison glanced from Koshi to Ayana and then to the blood on her clothes. "Is that true, miss? Did this man hurt you?" Ayana's voice gained strength. "Number he rescued me. Takakota shot me when I attempted to speak the truth." Koshi's face drained of color. He turned to Ayana and asked her something in Comanche. She replied quickly, urgently. Morrison watched the young warrior's expression shift from disbelief to anger. Koshi turned his horse and rode back to the war party, speaking fast, gesturing to the chief. Several warriors began arguing among themselves. "Looks like not everyone's as loyal to your chief as he thought," Morrison muttered. It came without warning. Takakota rode alone into the charge. His battle cry split the plains, not in the direction of the soldiers, but directly at Ayana. Morrison's rifle cracked once. Takakota was knocked from his horse, rolling across the earth before lying still just yards away. He tried to bring his weapon up, but Morrison already stood over him. "Chief Takakota," he stated firmly, "you are arrested for murder of the Henderson family and conspiracy to cause war by false testimony." Takakota spat blood and responded in Comanche, his tone venomous. Ayana interpreted. "He says you have no proof." Morrison's grin was grim. "Then we'll produce the scalps, and when we do, your own people will see what sort of man you are." 3 weeks afterward, Ayana appeared before a military court at Fort Davidson. Her wounds were sufficiently healed for her to testify. The evidence was discovered, scalps concealed precisely where she indicated. The truth could not be disputed. Takakota's remaining followers turned on him and the charges held. Justice was meted out. But the price was steep. Trust between the Comanche and the army had been grievously injured, and it would take years to heal. Malachi never returned to his secluded cabin in the hills. Some said he went east. Others said he was along the frontier, assisting those in need. Ayana knew better. Some acts of kindness don't just save lives, they transform them. For the one saved and for the one courageous enough to save. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more impactful stories.